Welcome to Unsolved Historical Mysteries. The Tartaria Conspiracy, uncovering the traces of a lost mega-civilization. Main heading 1. What is Tartaria? Subheading 1. The mysterious legend of Tartaria. Tartaria. Just the name itself seems to echo with mystery and intrigue, doesn't it? For centuries, this supposed empire has captured the imaginations of history buffs, conspiracy theorists, and curious minds alike. But what exactly is Tartaria, and why does its story feel like a page ripped from a fantasy novel? Let's dive into the legend. The idea of Tartaria originates from old maps and documents, particularly from the 16th to 19th centuries. These maps depict a vast region stretching across Central Asia and parts of Eastern Europe, labeled as Tartaria or Great Tartary. It was portrayed as an expansive land of nomadic tribes, mysterious cultures, and uncharted territories. But here's where things take a curious turn. By the late 19th century, the name Tartaria all but vanished from maps and historical records. It's as if this colossal region was wiped from the pages of history itself. The legends surrounding Tartaria don't stop at geography. Stories of advanced technologies, grand architecture, and cultural sophistication have emerged, suggesting that this wasn't just a land of wandering tribes, but a thriving, highly developed civilization. According to some theories, Tartaria possessed knowledge and innovations that rivaled or even surpassed those of other great civilizations of its time. From towering domes to intricately carved facades, buildings allegedly linked to Tartaria can still be found, hinting at an architectural legacy that defies explanation. Yet, these legends didn't arise from thin air. The term Tartar historically referred to various nomadic groups, particularly the Mongols and Turkic peoples. European explorers and mapmakers often lumped these diverse cultures together under the umbrella of Tartaria, creating a somewhat distorted view of the region. But conspiracy theorists argue otherwise. They claim that Tartaria wasn't just a label for nomads, but a hidden empire deliberately erased from history. Why would such an empire be erased? This is where the conspiracy deepens. Some suggest that powerful nations or organizations systematically removed Tartaria from the historical narrative to suppress its achievements. They argue that Tartaria's advanced technologies and societal structures didn't fit the accepted timeline of human progress, making its existence inconvenient for modern historical frameworks. Could Tartaria have been a utopian society, or a rival superpower that threatened the world order? One of the most captivating aspects of the Tartarian legend is its connection to architectural anomalies. Buildings with unique styles, featuring ornate domes, massive arches, and elaborate carvings, are often pointed to as Tartarian. These structures, found across Europe, Asia, and even the Americas, have led some to believe that Tartaria's influence reached far beyond Central Asia. But is any of this true? Mainstream historians dismiss the idea of Tartaria as a coherent empire, citing a lack of concrete evidence. Instead, they argue that the name reflects outdated cartographic practices and misconceptions about the region. However, the mystery persists, fueled by unanswered questions and curious artifacts. Whether a myth, a misinterpretation, or a hidden chapter of human history, the legend of Tartaria continues to fascinate. It beckons us to question not only what we know about the past, but also who gets to decide what stories are told. Could Tartaria be a glimpse into a forgotten world? Or is it a mirror, reflecting our own need for wonder and intrigue? Subheading 2. Traces of Tartaria in maps and historical documents. When exploring the mystery of Tartaria, one of the most compelling clues lies in old maps and historical documents. These artifacts, created by explorers and cartographers of centuries past, offered tantalizing glimpses into what Tartaria might have been. But as we sift through these sources, we encounter more questions than answers. What do these maps reveal, and why do they seem to contradict the historical narrative we're familiar with today? The first maps mentioning Tartaria date back to the 15th and 16th centuries. These maps portray Tartaria as a sprawling landmass, often labeled Great Tartary or Tartaria Magna, stretching from the Caspian Sea to the Pacific Ocean. This region encompassed parts of modern-day Russia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and China. While the term was broadly used to describe territories inhabited by various nomadic tribes, some maps go further, depicting cities, fortresses, and intricate trade routes that hint at a more developed civilization. One of the most famous depictions of Tartaria appears in the works of Flemish cartographer Gerardus Mercator. His maps not only include the label Tartaria, but also feature detailed descriptions of its inhabitants, customs, and geography. These details, though fascinating, raise a critical question. Were these accurate depictions of the region, or were they the product of imagination and hearsay? Historical documents add another layer of intrigue. European explorers and ambassadors who traveled to Central Asia during the Middle Ages and Renaissance occasionally wrote about Tartaria. They described vast steppes, nomadic warriors, and mysterious cities hidden in the wilderness. While many of these accounts align with what we know about the Mongol Empire and other nomadic cultures, they also contain peculiar references to advanced societies and monumental architecture that seem out of place. Then there's the strange disappearance of Tartaria from later maps. By the late 19th century, the name Tartaria had all but vanished, replaced by more specific terms like Siberia or Central Asia. Some historians explain this shift as a natural result of improved cartography and a better understanding of regional cultures. However, proponents of the Tartaria conspiracy see it differently. They argue that this erasure was deliberate, a systematic effort to suppress evidence of a powerful and advanced civilization. Adding fuel to this theory are anomalies in architectural and cultural records. For example, certain buildings across Russia and Central Asia display an architectural style that seems to echo elements found in European Renaissance and Baroque designs. Conspiracy theorists claim that these structures are remnants of Tartaria's golden age, evidence of its sophistication and influence. Yet mainstream historians attribute these designs to the blending of local traditions with European influences during later periods. Maps and documents also feature references to mythical creatures, bizarre phenomena, and exaggerated geographies, which were common in early cartography. This tendency to mix fact and fiction complicates our understanding of Tartaria. Did early cartographers genuinely believe in the grandeur of Tartaria, or were they simply embellishing their maps to satisfy patrons and audiences hungry for exotic tales? One particularly interesting artifact is the 1771 map by cartographer Guillaume de Lisle. This map shows independent Tartary as a defined entity, suggesting a degree of political organization. But again, critics point out that these terms might have been used loosely, without any real understanding of the region's complexities. Ultimately, the traces of Tartaria in maps and documents challenge us to think critically about how history is recorded and remembered. They remind us that maps are not just tools for navigation. They are stories told by those who create them. And like any story, they can be shaped by bias, imagination, and the limits of human knowledge. Could these traces point to a lost civilization? Or are they simply relics of a time when the world was still being discovered? The answer remains elusive, But one thing is clear: the mystery of Tartaria continues to captivate and confound us. Subheading 3. Why is Tartaria called a erased civilization? Tartaria's allure lies not just in its mysterious existence, but in the idea that it was deliberately erased from history. This provocative claim forms the backbone of the Tartaria conspiracy theory. But why would anyone go to such lengths to erase an entire civilization? And who would benefit from such an act? Let's unravel the threads of this perplexing narrative. The notion of Tartaria being erased stems from the sudden disappearance of the term from maps and historical discourse in the 19th century. For centuries, Tartaria was a prominent feature on European maps, depicted as a vast and significant region. Yet, as the world became more interconnected and geographically understood, the name vanished, replaced by more specific labels like Siberia, Central Asia, or Kazakhstan. For many, this seemed like a natural progression of knowledge. For others, it was the first clue in a larger conspiracy. Proponents of the Tartaria conspiracy argue that this erasure was intentional. They claim that powerful entities, such as colonial empires, the Catholic Church, or secret societies, orchestrated the suppression of Tartaria to consolidate their own narratives of history. According to this theory, Tartaria's advanced technologies, egalitarian society, or even its potential rivalries with dominant powers, posed a threat to the established order. By erasing Tartaria, these entities could rewrite history to suit their agendas. A key aspect of this theory is the alleged destruction, or reattribution of Tartarian artifacts and architecture. Conspiracy theorists point to certain grandiose buildings, such as government palaces, cathedrals, and monumental public structures, as examples of Tartarian design. These buildings, they claim, were either miscredited to later European architects or intentionally destroyed during wars and revolutions. The fires of Moscow in 1812 and the demolition of Old World fairs are often cited as events where Tartarian evidence might have been lost. Adding to the intrigue are rumors of lost technologies. Some believe that Tartaria possessed advanced knowledge of energy, construction, and transportation far beyond what we associate with its time. These supposed technologies, they argue, were suppressed or seized by those in power, ensuring that Tartaria's achievements were buried along with its name. For example, the enigmatic mud flood theory suggests that a global cataclysm buried Tartaria's cities, leaving only the tops of buildings visible today. Skeptics, of course, offer more grounded explanations. They point out that the name Tartaria was a European construct, used as a catch-all term for the diverse cultures and territories of Central Asia. As cartographers gained a clearer understanding of the region, they replaced the vague term with more accurate labels. Similarly, the architectural features attributed to Tartaria can often be explained by cultural exchanges, trade, and the spread of styles across Eurasia. Yet, the mystery persists. Why does Tartaria continue to capture the imagination of so many? Perhaps it's because the idea of a hidden history resonates deeply. History, after all, is written by the victors. And the notion of an erased civilization challenges us to question whose stories we are told, and whose are left out. There's also the tantalizing possibility that elements of the Tartaria theory might hold a kernel of truth. Could some artifacts or architectural styles indeed point to a forgotten cultural exchange? Could some documents hint at a region whose complexity has been underestimated? These questions keep the debate alive, fueling both curiosity and controversy. In the end, whether Tartaria was erased or simply misunderstood, the fascination with its story reveals something profound about our relationship with history. It shows how much we yearn to uncover the unknown, to fill the gaps in our collective memory, and to imagine worlds that could have been. Main heading 2. The background of the Tartaria conspiracy. Subheading 1. The origins of historical revision theories. The idea of history being manipulated or rewritten is not new. Across cultures and centuries, people have questioned the accuracy of the stories handed down to them. In the case of Tartaria, this skepticism has evolved into a full-fledged theory of historical revision. But where did this idea come from? How did the notion of erased civilizations take root in our collective imagination? To understand the origins of historical revision theories related to Tartaria, we must first explore the broader context of revisionist thinking. The 19th and early 20th centuries saw a surge in archaeological discoveries, the standardization of history as a field of study, and the rise of empires seeking to justify their dominance. These factors, combined with the rapid dissemination of information through newspapers, books, and later, radio, created an environment ripe for questioning the official narratives. The concept of an erased civilization gained traction during this time, fueled by several key developments. First, there was the publication of historical and pseudo-historical works that suggested alternate versions of history. For instance, Ignatius Donnelly's 1882 book Atlantis: The Antediluvian World popularized the idea of lost continents and forgotten civilizations. While Donnelly's focus was on Atlantis, his methods, combining speculative history with archaeological evidence, laid the groundwork for similar theories about other regions, including Tartaria. Second, the rapid industrialization and modernization of the 19th century led to the destruction of many older structures and artifacts. Wars, revolutions, and urban development projects erased significant portions of cultural heritage. For those witnessing these changes, it wasn't hard to imagine that entire civilizations might have been lost or deliberately buried. The notion that powerful institutions might suppress history for political or ideological reasons began to resonate. In the case of Tartaria, specific events helped spark theories of erasure. One of these was the Great Exhibition of 1851 in London, where the grandeur of international architecture and inventions was on display. Some theorists argue that buildings like these, often attributed to modern European powers, could actually have been remnants of Tartaria's architectural legacy, repurposed and rebranded to fit the dominant narrative. Another key event often cited in Tartaria theories is the Napoleonic Wars and their aftermath. The burning of Moscow in 1812 is seen by some as an act of deliberate destruction, erasing evidence of a Tartarian civilization. Similarly, the reorganization of Central Asian territories under the Russian Empire in the late 19th century is viewed as an attempt to suppress the region's true history. Theories about Tartaria also intersect with broader conspiracies, such as those involving secret societies or global elites. The idea that history is controlled by a select few, who decide which stories are preserved and which are erased, has a powerful allure. It taps into our distrust of authority and our desire to uncover hidden truths. Modern technology has further fueled these theories. The internet, in particular, has allowed fringe ideas to flourish, connecting like-minded individuals across the globe. Forums, videos, and social media posts dedicated to Tartaria have dissected old maps, architectural anomalies, and historical documents, weaving these elements into a narrative of suppression and rediscovery. But what drives this fascination with historical revision? Psychologists suggest that it stems from our need to make sense of a complex and often chaotic world. The idea that history has been rewritten, offers a simple explanation for why the past doesn't always align with our expectations. It also empowers individuals, giving them the sense that they are uncovering hidden truths and challenging established authority. In the case of Tartaria, these theories serve as a lens through which to view broader questions about history, power, and memory. Whether or not Tartaria ever existed as an empire, the passion it inspires reveals a deep desire to explore the unknown and to question the stories we've been told. Subheading 2. Why Tartaria is believed to be an advanced civilization. What makes Tartaria so intriguing is the belief that it was not just a vast territory but an advanced civilization, one that rivaled or even surpassed other great empires of its time. This idea has captivated the imaginations of countless conspiracy theorists and history enthusiasts. But why is Tartaria thought to be so advanced? Let's delve into the claims and the evidence, both real and speculative. One of the most common arguments for Tartaria's advanced status is its alleged architectural legacy. Conspiracy theorists point to buildings with extraordinary features, elaborate facades, towering domes, and intricate stonework as evidence of a civilization with superior engineering and design capabilities. These structures are often labeled as Tartarian and are found not just in Central Asia but across Europe, Russia, and even North America. The implication is that Tartaria's influence stretched far and wide, leaving behind a global architectural footprint. The sheer scale and complexity of these buildings led some to believe that Tartaria must have possessed advanced construction techniques. Theories about the use of energy-efficient technologies, such as free energy or electromagnetic principles, often accompany these claims. For instance, certain domes and spires are speculated to have functioned as energy conductors, harnessing natural forces in ways modern science has yet to replicate. While these ideas are largely speculative, they continue to fuel the fascination with Tartaria's supposed technological prowess. Another key argument lies in Tartaria's depiction on historical maps. Unlike many regions labeled as barbaric or undeveloped, Tartaria is often shown with organized territories, trade routes, and cities. These cartographic details suggest a level of political and economic sophistication. Some maps even include references to specific cultural practices and commodities, hinting at a thriving and interconnected society. The idea of an advanced Tartarian civilization is further supported by the so-called mud flood theory. This controversial hypothesis suggests that a cataclysmic event, possibly a worldwide flood, buried much of Tartaria's infrastructure, leaving only the upper portions of buildings visible today. Proponents argue that evidence of this event can be found in buildings with sunken floors or partially buried windows, which they claim are remnants of Tartaria's once great cities. Historical anecdotes also add to the mystique. Travelers and explorers from Europe occasionally described Central Asia as a land of immense wealth and culture. While these accounts often referred to the Mongol Empire or other known civilizations, conspiracy theorists reinterpret them as descriptions of Tartaria. For example, the idea of vast libraries or repositories of knowledge aligns with the narrative of a highly educated and innovative society. Critics, however, offer more conventional explanations. They argue that the so-called Tartarian buildings are simply examples of architectural styles from the Renaissance, Baroque, or Gothic periods, adapted to local cultures. Similarly, the organized territories on maps likely reflect the influence of the Mongol Empire and other well-documented powers, rather than an erased civilization. Despite these rebuttals, the belief in Tartaria's advanced nature persists, driven by the allure of the unknown. It challenges our understanding of human progress, suggesting that history might hold secrets far greater than we imagine. This idea is both thrilling and unsettling, offering a glimpse into a world that could have been. Ultimately, the fascination with Tartaria as an advanced civilization is as much about us as it is about history. It speaks to our desire to uncover hidden truths, to believe in the possibility of lost knowledge, and to challenge the narratives we've been taught. Whether Tartaria was a real empire or a figment of our collective imagination, its legend continues to inspire wonder and debate. Subheading 3. The debate between archaeology and the Tartaria narrative. When discussing Tartaria, one of the most contentious topics is the clash between mainstream archaeology and the Tartaria narrative. On one side, archaeologists rely on physical evidence, historical records, and rigorous methods to piece together the past. On the other, Tartaria enthusiasts propose an alternate version of history, often based on speculation, reinterpretation, and what they consider suppressed evidence. Let's examine this fascinating debate. Mainstream archaeologists largely dismiss the idea of Tartaria as a cohesive empire or advanced civilization. They argue that the term Tartaria was simply a catch-all label used by European cartographers to describe vast and poorly understood regions of Central Asia. According to this view, there was no single unified Tartarian state, but rather a patchwork of nomadic tribes, such as the Mongols, Tatars, and Turkic peoples, each with their own distinct cultures and histories. Proponents of the Tartaria theory, however, challenge this perspective. They claim that mainstream archaeology ignores or misinterprets evidence that points to Tartaria's existence. For example, they highlight architectural anomalies, structures with features that seem inconsistent with their supposed time periods or locations. These buildings, often dismissed by archaeologists as products of local styles or later adaptations, are reinterpreted as remnants of a lost Tartarian civilization. A major point of contention is the so-called mud flood hypothesis. Tartaria enthusiasts argue that certain archaeological features, such as partially buried buildings or windows below ground level, are evidence of a global catastrophe that erased much of Tartaria's infrastructure. Mainstream scientists, however, attribute these features to natural processes, like sediment accumulation, urban development over older structures, or even simple design choices. Another area of debate lies in the interpretation of old maps and documents. While historians view these artifacts as imperfect records, reflecting the limited knowledge of their time, Tartaria theorists see them as deliberate attempts to obscure the truth. For instance, they argue that the sudden disappearance of Tartaria from maps in the 19th century was not a result of improved cartography, but a systematic effort to erase a once great civilization from history. One particularly contentious issue is the role of technology in the Tartaria narrative. Enthusiasts often point to features like massive domes, spires, and intricate designs as evidence of advanced construction techniques, possibly involving lost technologies. Archaeologists counter that these elements can be explained by known historical practices, such as the exchange of ideas along trade routes like the Silk Road, which connected Central Asia to Europe and the Middle East. Despite these disagreements, the debate raises important questions about how we interpret the past. Why do some people feel drawn to alternative histories like the Tartaria narrative? Psychologists suggest that such theories appeal to our desire for wonder, our distrust of authority, and our need to find meaning in the unknown. Meanwhile, archaeologists acknowledge that gaps and uncertainties in the historical record can sometimes leave room for speculation. Interestingly, The Tartaria debate has also sparked a renewed interest in Central Asian history. While most historians do not support the idea of Tartaria as a unified empire, they recognize the region's significant contributions to global culture, trade, and innovation. This includes the legacy of the Mongol Empire, which united vast territories and facilitated cultural exchange on an unprecedented scale. At its core, the debate between archaeology and the Tartaria narrative is about more than just a lost civilization. It's a reflection of the ongoing tension between science and speculation, evidence and imagination, and the stories we accept versus the ones we question. Whether Tartaria was a historical reality or a compelling myth, its legacy continues to challenge our understanding of the past and our role in shaping its narrative. Main Heading 3: Evidence and Counterarguments. Subheading 1: The potential technologies of Tartaria. One of the most captivating aspects of the Tartaria narrative is the claim that this lost civilization possessed advanced technologies far beyond what we typically associate with its time. These theories have sparked endless fascination and debate, as they suggest a world where history as we know it might have been shaped by hidden innovations. But what are these alleged technologies, and do they hold any merit? Central to these claims is architecture. Tartarian buildings, with their intricate designs, towering domes, and colossal structures, are often said to demonstrate engineering skills that rival or surpass modern capabilities. Enthusiasts argue that such monumental constructions would have been impossible using the tools and techniques traditionally attributed to their eras. This has led to speculation about Tartaria's use of advanced machinery, precision tools, or even energy technologies that allowed them to construct these marvels. One particularly intriguing claim involves the concept of free energy. Proponents of the Tartaria theory suggest that certain architectural features, such as spires, domes, and antenna-like structures, were not merely decorative but served as components of an energy harnessing system. According to this idea, Tartaria might have developed ways to tap into natural energy sources, such as atmospheric electricity or electromagnetic fields, creating a sustainable and efficient power network. While no concrete evidence supports these assertions, they have become a cornerstone of Tartaria-related conspiracy theories. Another alleged technology attributed to Tartaria is their mastery of transportation. Some theorists believe that Tartaria's influence stretched far beyond Central Asia, with its civilization spanning continents. To achieve this, they argue, Tartaria must have developed advanced transportation systems, possibly including vehicles or mechanisms capable of traversing vast distances quickly. Speculations even extend to underground tunnel networks or flying machines. Although such claims remain entirely speculative, the mud flood theory also ties into these technological claims. Enthusiasts argue that Tartaria's supposed mastery of energy and construction might have left them vulnerable to catastrophic events, possibly man-made, leading to the civilization's destruction. They propose that this global disaster buried much of Tartaria's infrastructure, leaving only tantalizing traces for modern observers. Critics of these ideas point out the lack of verifiable evidence. For example, the architectural styles labeled as Tartarian are more easily explained by known historical and cultural exchanges. Features such as domes and spires were common in Byzantine, Islamic, and European architecture, with designs spreading along trade routes and evolving over time. Similarly, claims of free energy technology are often dismissed as speculative interpretations of architectural features without scientific basis. However, the fascination with Tartaria's potential technologies persists. Part of this stems from humanity's enduring curiosity about lost knowledge, stories of advanced ancient civilizations. Whether it's Atlantis, Lemuria, or Tartaria, tap into our collective imagination, offering a vision of a world where technological progress is far older than we think. Could there be a grain of truth to these theories? Some historians and archaeologists acknowledge that ancient cultures often possessed knowledge and skills that surprise us even today. For instance, the construction of the Egyptian pyramids, the Roman aqueducts, or the Maya observatories showcases remarkable ingenuity. Similarly, evidence of early, battery-like devices and advanced metallurgy in ancient civilizations suggests that humanity's technological timeline might hold more surprises than we realize. In the case of Tartaria, separating fact from fiction is a challenge. While the claims of free energy and flying machines may be far-fetched, they invite us to think critically about the gaps in our understanding of history. They also remind us that the past, like the future, is full of possibilities, some we can explain, and others we can only imagine. Whether Tartaria's technologies were real or a product of creative speculation, they continue to captivate those who dare to dream of a forgotten world, one where innovation and imagination reshaped the course of history. Subheading 2. Critical perspectives separating myth from reality. The story of Tartaria is undeniably compelling, filled with grand architecture, advanced technologies, and the tantalizing possibility of a lost civilization. But as intriguing as these claims are, they demand scrutiny. Separating myth from reality requires a critical examination of the evidence, or lack thereof, behind Tartaria's narrative. At the heart of this mystery lies a fundamental question. Why is there so little concrete evidence of Tartaria as an advanced civilization? Conspiracy theorists suggest that this absence is itself proof of a cover-up, claiming that powerful organizations have systematically erased Tartaria's legacy. However, mainstream historians and archaeologists offer a simpler explanation. Tartaria was never a unified civilization to begin with, but rather a term applied to vast and diverse regions by European cartographers unfamiliar with Central Asia. One of the most commonly cited proofs of Tartaria's existence is its depiction on old maps. Yet, historical cartography often reflects the limited knowledge and biases of its time. For example, early maps frequently included mythical lands, sea monsters, and exaggerated geographies. Tartaria, in this context, was likely a placeholder for regions that explorers and mapmakers had yet to fully understand. As geographic knowledge improved, the name naturally disappeared, replaced by more accurate terms reflecting specific cultures and territories. The architectural anomalies attributed to Tartaria are another cornerstone of the theory. Buildings with grand domes, towering spires, and intricate designs are labeled as Tartarian by enthusiasts, who argue that their scale and complexity point to advanced technologies. However, architectural historians counter that these structures can be explained by well-documented styles, such as Baroque, Gothic, and Islamic architecture, which often influenced one another through trade and cultural exchange. Take, for instance, the claim that certain domes and spires functioned as energy conductors in a free energy system. While imaginative, this theory lacks any supporting evidence in the form of tools, blueprints, or written accounts. Instead, such interpretations often stem from a desire to fit architectural features into a predetermined narrative, rather than analyzing them within their historical and cultural contexts. Another key issue is the so-called mud flood hypothesis. Proponents argue that buried buildings and partially submerged structures are evidence of a cataclysmic event that destroyed Tartaria. Yet, Geologists and archaeologists explain these features as natural phenomena, such as sediment accumulation, urban redevelopment, or even deliberate design choices to accommodate uneven terrain. These mundane explanations often clash with the more dramatic interpretations favored by conspiracy theorists. So why does the myth of Tartaria persist? Psychologists suggest that such narratives fulfill a deep-seated human need to challenge authority and question the status quo. The idea that history might be rewritten by powerful forces taps into our collective distrust of institutions, from governments to academic establishments. In this way, Tartaria serves as both a mystery to be solved and a symbol of resistance against perceived control. It's also worth noting the role of the internet in spreading and sustaining Tartaria theories. Social media platforms, forums, and video-sharing sites allow enthusiasts to share their findings, dissect maps and photos, and weave intricate narratives. This democratization of information has made it easier than ever to explore alternative histories, but it has also blurred the line between credible research and creative speculation. While the Tartaria narrative may lack strong evidence, it raises important questions about how we interpret the past. It challenges us to think critically about the stories we've been told, the gaps in our knowledge, and the ways in which history is shaped by those who record it. At its core, the debate over Tartaria reflects the tension between imagination and evidence. On one hand, it's a thrilling exploration of what might have been. On the other, it's a reminder of the importance of rigorous inquiry and skepticism. By examining the claims with an open yet critical mind, we can appreciate the allure of the unknown, while staying grounded in the realities of our shared history. Subheading 3. The relationship between lost civilizations and conspiracy theories. Lost civilizations have always captivated the human imagination. From Atlantis to Lemuria, and now Tartaria, these mysterious societies fuel our collective curiosity and inspire countless stories. But why are these ideas so often intertwined with conspiracy theories? What is it about the notion of a lost civilization that makes it a perfect breeding ground for speculation and suspicion? Let's explore the fascinating relationship between these two phenomena. At its core, the idea of a lost civilization appeals to our sense of wonder. The thought that an advanced society could have existed long before recorded history is both thrilling and humbling. It suggests that humanity's achievements are far older and more complex than we realize, challenging the established timeline of human progress. This sense of wonder often leads people to question why such civilizations would disappear, and who might benefit from erasing their stories. Conspiracy theories provide a convenient answer to these questions. They propose that powerful forces, whether governments, religious institutions, or secret societies, have deliberately hidden the truth about these civilizations to maintain control over society. In the case of Tartaria, theorists suggest that its advanced technologies, egalitarian systems, or even global influence posed a threat to the dominant powers of the time. By erasing Tartaria, these forces could rewrite history to fit their narratives. The relationship between lost civilizations and conspiracy theories is also rooted in the gaps and uncertainties of historical records. The further back in time we look, the fewer written documents, artifacts, and physical structures remain. These gaps create a fertile ground for imagination, allowing people to fill in the blanks with their own interpretations. For Tartaria enthusiasts, these gaps are seen not as natural limitations of historical preservation, but as deliberate omissions by those in power. Interestingly, this pattern isn't unique to Tartaria. Similar claims have been made about other lost civilizations. For example, Proponents of the Atlantis theory argue that its advanced culture was destroyed by a natural disaster and subsequently covered up. The same goes for Lemuria, a supposed continent in the Indian Ocean that allegedly housed a highly sophisticated society. In each case, the combination of mystery, missing evidence, and perceived suppression fuels the belief in a hidden past. Another factor linking lost civilizations to conspiracy theories is the reinterpretation of existing evidence. Tartaria theorists often point to architectural anomalies, historical maps, and cultural artifacts as proof of their claims. But this reinterpretation often involves taking evidence out of context, ignoring established explanations, or assigning new meanings to familiar objects. This approach is not unique to Tartaria. It's a hallmark of many conspiracy theories, from ancient aliens to hidden chambers in the Great Pyramid. The psychological appeal of these theories cannot be overlooked. Conspiracy theories about lost civilizations give people a sense of agency in uncovering hidden truths. They offer an alternative to the mainstream narrative, positioning believers as truth seekers challenging a corrupt or oblivious establishment. This dynamic is particularly appealing in an age of widespread mistrust in authority, where many feel disconnected from traditional sources of knowledge and power. The role of media also plays a significant part. Movies, books, and documentaries about lost civilizations often blend fact with fiction, creating compelling but misleading narratives. Shows like Ancient Aliens or speculative documentaries about Atlantis and Tartaria can blur the line between entertainment and scholarship, encouraging audiences to view these ideas as plausible alternatives to established history. Despite the speculative nature of these theories, they highlight an important aspect of our relationship with the past: the human desire to seek meaning and uncover mysteries. Whether or not Tartaria or other lost civilizations truly existed, the stories we create about them reflect our values, fears, and aspirations. They challenge us to think critically about the sources of our knowledge and to remain open to new possibilities, while also grounding ourselves in evidence and reason. Ultimately, the connection between lost civilizations and conspiracy theories reveals as much about our present as it does about our past. It's a testament to our enduring curiosity, our skepticism of authority, and our unyielding quest to understand the world around us, even if that quest sometimes leads us into the realm of speculation and myth. Main Heading 4: Keys to Unraveling the Mystery of Tartaria. Subheading 1: Undeciphered Texts and Architectural Structures. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Tartaria mystery is the role of undeciphered texts and enigmatic architectural structures. These artifacts, whether real or speculative, fuel the belief that Tartaria was a lost civilization with knowledge and capabilities far beyond its time. But what do we know about these texts and structures? And how much of it is grounded in reality? Let's start with the mysterious texts. Tartaria enthusiasts often point to supposed documents, symbols, or inscriptions as evidence of a unique written language or advanced communication system. Some claim that these texts, if deciphered, could reveal a wealth of knowledge about Tartaria's society, technologies, and history. However, no verified examples of a distinct Tartarian script have ever been found. Instead, many of the so-called Tartarian texts turn out to be misinterpreted writings from other cultures, such as Cyrillic inscriptions or decorative motifs mistaken for a forgotten language. One particularly controversial artifact linked to Tartaria is the so-called Tartarian tablets. These small clay tablets, discovered in Romania and dating back to the Neolithic era, bear symbols that some theorists claim are an early form of writing. while archaeologists generally view these symbols as proto-writing, precursors to more developed scripts. Conspiracy theorists reinterpret them as evidence of Tartaria's advanced communication system. This reinterpretation highlights a common theme in Tartaria theories, taking ambiguous or unexplained artifacts and assigning them new, speculative meanings. Then there are the architectural structures. Buildings with grandiose designs, intricate carvings, and seemingly impossible engineering feats are often labeled as Tartarian by enthusiasts. Examples include certain cathedrals, government buildings, and even entire cities that exhibit a mix of styles from Baroque, Gothic, and neoclassical architecture. Tartaria theorists argue that these structures were not built by their credited architects, but are remnants of a lost Tartarian civilization, later repurposed and rebranded. One feature frequently cited in these structures is the use of domes, spires, and other elements that resemble modern energy harnessing devices. Enthusiasts suggest that these features were not merely aesthetic, but served as components of a sophisticated energy system, while mainstream historians and architects attribute these designs to stylistic and functional choices of their respective periods. The idea of an ancient energy network remains a popular aspect of Tartaria lore. The mud flood theory also plays a significant role in the architectural narrative. Proponents argue that many Tartarian structures were buried by a catastrophic event, leaving only their upper sections visible today. Buildings with partially submerged windows, entrances below ground level, or uneven foundations are often cited as evidence. Critics, however, point to more mundane explanations, such as urban development over time, shifts in terrain, or design adaptations to specific environments. Interestingly, some of the structures linked to Tartaria are not even in Central Asia. Buildings in Europe, the Americas, and beyond have been co-opted into the Tartaria narrative, leading to claims of a global civilization. This raises another question. Why would a Central Asian empire leave architectural traces across the world? While enthusiasts see this as proof of Tartaria's influence, skeptics argue that it reflects the spread of architectural ideas along trade routes like the Silk Road, rather than a single unified civilization. The fascination with undeciphered texts and mysterious architecture speaks to a broader human desire, the need to uncover hidden truths and challenge the narratives we've been told. These artifacts, whether real or imagined, represent possibilities, windows into a forgotten past that might hold answers to questions about who we are and where we come from. At the same time, they remind us of the importance of critical thinking. The allure of the unknown is powerful, but it's essential to approach these mysteries with a balance of curiosity and skepticism. By examining the evidence, questioning assumptions, and seeking context, we can appreciate the wonder of these artifacts, while staying grounded in the reality of what they truly represent. Subheading 2: Local folklore and its importance. When exploring the mystery of Tartaria, local folklore emerges as a critical piece of the puzzle. Stories passed down through generations often preserve elements of history that might otherwise be lost, offering insights into the cultures, beliefs, and events of the past. But how much weight should we give to these oral traditions? When piecing together the Tartaria narrative, let's take a closer look at the role of folklore and its importance in this enigmatic tale. Folklore is more than just myth or superstition. It's a cultural memory, a way for communities to encode their understanding of the world. In the regions traditionally associated with Tartaria, such as Central Asia and Siberia, countless legends speak of vast empires, powerful rulers, and advanced societies. These stories often depict kingdoms that flourished, long before recorded history, featuring technologies, trade networks, and cultural practices that rival modern achievements. One recurring theme in these tales is the idea of a golden age, a time when society thrived under the guidance of wise leaders or divine forces. Some Tartaria enthusiasts interpret these golden ages as references to the lost Tartarian civilization. They argue that these stories, though embellished over time, contain kernels of truth about a once great empire. However, critics caution against taking folklore too literally, noting that such narratives are common across cultures and often reflect universal human aspirations rather than specific historical events. Another aspect of local folklore is its connection to unexplained phenomena. For example, some Central Asian legends describe mysterious ruins, strange lights in the sky, or underground cities, elements that enthusiasts link to Tartaria's advanced technologies. While these phenomena could have natural explanations, they add an air of mystery that fuels speculation about Tartaria's existence and influence. Folklore also plays a role in shaping perceptions of historical artifacts and sites. Certain architectural features or ancient ruins, for instance, are often imbued with supernatural or legendary significance in local traditions. In the context of Tartaria, these associations are sometimes reinterpreted to support the idea of a lost civilization. A building with unusual design elements might be seen as evidence of advanced Tartarian engineering, while stories about hidden treasures or forgotten knowledge are linked to Tartaria's supposed grandeur. However, it's important to recognize that folklore is not a static record of the past. It evolves with each retelling, shaped by the needs and values of the community. This fluidity makes it both a rich source of cultural insight and a challenging tool for historical analysis. While folklore can hint at historical truths, it must be interpreted carefully, alongside other forms of evidence. One of the most compelling reasons to study folklore in the Tartaria context is its ability to fill gaps in the historical record. Written documents, maps, and physical artifacts can only tell us so much. Folklore, on the other hand, offers a glimpse into the lived experiences and perspectives of people who may not have left behind written accounts. It provides context for how communities understood their world and how they might have interacted with larger civilizations. Critics of the Tartaria theory often point out that while folklore is valuable, it's not definitive proof of a lost empire. They argue that the stories attributed to Tartaria could just as easily be about other known civilizations, such as the Mongols or the Khazars. Nevertheless, the enduring allure of these tales reminds us of the power of storytelling and its role in shaping our understanding of history. Ultimately, local folklore is a vital piece of the Tartaria puzzle, not because it offers irrefutable evidence, but because it enriches our exploration of the mystery. It challenges us to think about how history is remembered and reimagined, and it encourages us to approach the past with curiosity and respect for the cultures that came before us. Subheading 3. What future research might uncover? The mystery of Tartaria continues to captivate imaginations, and while much of the narrative remains speculative, the potential for future research to shed light on this enigmatic subject is both exciting and thought-provoking. What new discoveries might await us? And how could they help separate fact from fiction? Let's consider the possibilities. One promising avenue for future research lies in the fields of archaeology and paleogeography. Advances in technology, such as ground-penetrating radar (GPR) and satellite imagery, have already transformed our ability to detect hidden structures and map ancient landscapes. These tools could be used to explore regions traditionally associated with Tartaria, such as Siberia and Central Asia, in greater detail. Could there be undiscovered ruins, buried cities, or other artifacts that might reveal a previously unknown chapter of history? Another key area of interest is the study of ancient architecture. Many of the structures linked to Tartaria in conspiracy theories, such as domes, spires, and monumental public buildings, deserve closer examination through rigorous historical and architectural analysis. Understanding the true origins and purposes of these buildings could either reinforce or dispel claims of Tartaria's advanced technologies. Techniques like 3D reconstruction and materials analysis could provide new insights into how these structures were built and the cultural influences that shaped them. Linguistics and epigraphy also hold great potential. While no verified Tartarian texts have been discovered, the study of undeciphered symbols or misunderstood inscriptions from the region could lead to breakthroughs in understanding its cultural and historical context. By comparing these symbols with known writing systems, researchers could uncover connections that either support or refute claims of a distinct Tartarian civilization. Furthermore, genetic research could play a role in unraveling the Tartaria mystery. By analyzing the DNA of ancient remains from Central Asia and neighboring regions, scientists might identify patterns of migration, cultural exchange, and population mixing. Such findings could help clarify whether the people of Tartaria, as described in legends, were a distinct group or part of a larger, interconnected network of societies. The role of artificial intelligence in historical research is another exciting frontier. AI algorithms are increasingly being used to analyze massive datasets such as historical maps, documents, and artifacts. By identifying patterns and anomalies that might otherwise go unnoticed, AI could provide new clues about Tartaria and its place in history. For example, it could help detect inconsistencies in old maps, or uncover overlooked references in historical texts. However, the path to uncovering Tartaria's secrets is not without challenges. The speculative nature of the Tartaria narrative means that researchers must approach the subject with both curiosity and skepticism. Distinguishing genuine discoveries from coincidences or misinterpretations requires rigorous methods and a willingness to challenge preconceived notions. At the same time, the global interest in Tartaria highlights the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration. Historians, archaeologists, architects, linguists, and even folklorists have much to gain from working together to explore the many facets of this mystery. By combining their expertise, they can build a more nuanced and evidence-based understanding of the region's history. Ultimately, what future research might uncover about Tartaria is not just a question of whether this civilization existed. It's also an opportunity to learn more about the complex, interconnected history of humanity as a whole. Even if Tartaria as imagined by enthusiasts never existed, the process of investigating its story could lead to valuable discoveries about the people, cultures, and events that shaped our world. As we look to the future, one thing is certain: the mystery of Tartaria will continue to inspire curiosity and exploration. Whether it leads to groundbreaking discoveries, or simply a deeper appreciation for the complexity of history, the search for answers reminds us of the endless possibilities that await when we dare to question the past. Main Heading 5. What do you think? Subheading 1. A question to the audience: where lies the truth? As we've journeyed through the mystery of Tartaria, we've explored its legends, examined the evidence, and delved into the theories surrounding its existence. But now, the question turns to you, the viewer: where lies the truth? Is Tartaria a forgotten chapter of history, erased by powerful forces to control the narrative of human progress? Or is it a compelling myth, born from our desire to uncover hidden knowledge and challenge the accepted stories of the past? Could it be something in between? A blend of real historical elements and creative reinterpretation? The evidence is complex, often contradictory. Historical maps label a vast land called Tartaria, but they lack the details of a unified empire. Grandiose buildings inspire wonder, yet their origins can often be traced to well-documented architectural movements. Folklore teases us with tales of advanced societies, but these stories, while rich with cultural meaning, may not reflect historical fact. At the same time, it's clear that history itself is never complete. Our understanding of the past is shaped by the records we've preserved, the discoveries we've made, and the perspectives of those who tell the story. Could there be elements of Tartaria waiting to be uncovered? Clues that might shift our understanding of human history? We invite you to join the conversation. What do you think about the Tartaria mystery? Are there questions we haven't yet asked, or evidence that deserves a closer look? Whether you lean toward skepticism or belief, your perspective matters. Together, we can explore the limits of what we know, and the possibilities of what might have been. So, where do you stand? Is Tartaria a lost mega-civilization, a misunderstood label, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. After all, history isn't just about the past. It's about how we, as a society, choose to interpret it. Subheading 2. The importance of rediscovering history. History is more than a record of what has happened. It's a reflection of who we are, where we come from, and how we envision our future. Rediscovering history, especially through the lens of mysteries like Tartaria, is a powerful way to challenge our assumptions, expand our understanding, and inspire a deeper connection to the human story. Why does rediscovering history matter? First, it reminds us that knowledge is never complete. The past is filled with gaps, contradictions, and untold stories waiting to be uncovered. By re-examining these mysteries, we challenge the notion that history is fixed or absolute. Instead, we embrace it as an evolving narrative, shaped by new discoveries and perspectives. The mystery of Tartaria exemplifies this dynamic. Whether or not Tartaria was a real civilization, the process of investigating its story sparks curiosity and critical thinking. It encourages us to look beyond the surface of established narratives, and to ask deeper questions about how history is recorded and remembered. Who decides what stories are preserved? What might we have overlooked or misunderstood? Rediscovering history also fosters a sense of shared humanity. The search for answers, whether through archaeology, folklore, or scientific analysis, connects us to the people who came before us. It reveals the ingenuity, struggles, and triumphs of our ancestors, reminding us that their stories are part of our collective legacy. In the case of Tartaria, the debate itself highlights the importance of diverse perspectives. While mainstream historians focus on evidence-based analysis, enthusiasts bring creativity and passion to the discussion. By engaging with both viewpoints, we open the door to richer, more inclusive interpretations of the past. Moreover, rediscovering history has practical implications. It can influence how we preserve cultural heritage, interpret archaeological sites, and even address modern challenges. Lessons from the past, about innovation, resilience, and cooperation, can guide us as we navigate the complexities of the present and future. Finally, the act of rediscovery inspires a sense of wonder. The idea that there are still mysteries to solve, questions to answer, and stories to tell is profoundly motivating. It reminds us that the world is full of possibilities, and that even the smallest clue can lead to a greater understanding of our place in history. As we reflect on the story of Tartaria, let's remember that history isn't just about what we find, it's about how we engage with it. By rediscovering the past, we gain not only knowledge, but also a deeper appreciation for the richness and complexity of the human experience. So, as we continue to explore the mysteries of Tartaria and beyond, let's keep an open mind, a critical eye, and a sense of wonder. After all, the greatest discoveries often begin with a simple question: what if? Subheading 3. Lessons for the future from the story of Tartaria. The story of Tartaria is more than just a historical curiosity. It's a lens through which we can examine some profound lessons for the future. Whether or not Tartaria existed as described by enthusiasts, its narrative challenges us to think critically, value curiosity, and approach the unknown with both wonder and skepticism. One of the most significant lessons from the Tartaria debate is the importance of questioning established narratives. History, as we know it, is often written by the victors or shaped by the perspectives of those in power. By examining alternative stories like Tartaria, we remind ourselves to critically evaluate the information we're presented with and consider voices that may have been overlooked or suppressed. However, the story of Tartaria also highlights the need for evidence-based inquiry. While curiosity is essential, it must be paired with rigorous research and analysis. Speculation without substantiation can lead to misinformation, distorting our understanding of both the past and the present. The balance between open-minded exploration and disciplined skepticism is a crucial skill for navigating an age of information overload. Another lesson is the enduring value of preserving cultural heritage. Many of the artifacts and sites tied to Tartaria's story, whether real or speculative, underscore the fragility of historical records. Fires, wars, and neglect have erased countless traces of human history, making it all the more important to protect and document the remnants that remain. As we look to the future, investing in preservation efforts ensures that the stories of our own time won't be lost to future generations. The Tartaria narrative also encourages us to embrace interdisciplinary collaboration. The search for answers often requires input from archaeologists, historians, architects, linguists, and even folklorists. This collaborative approach not only enhances our understanding of specific mysteries, but also demonstrates the power of combining diverse expertise to solve complex problems, a lesson that applies far beyond the study of history. Finally, the story of Tartaria reminds us of the importance of curiosity and imagination. The human drive to ask "what if" has led to some of the greatest discoveries and innovations in history. While not every question will yield definitive answers, the act of exploring the unknown expands our horizons and inspires creativity. Tartaria, whether real or imagined, serves as a symbol of our collective yearning to uncover hidden truths and reimagine what's possible. As we move into the future, these lessons are more relevant than ever. In a rapidly changing world, understanding history helps us navigate the challenges ahead. It grounds us in a sense of continuity, while encouraging us to adapt and innovate. The story of Tartaria, with all its mysteries and debates, invites us to approach the future with the same curiosity and determination that drive our exploration of the past. So, as we close this chapter of the Tartaria story, let's carry its lessons forward. Let's remain curious, thoughtful, and open to new possibilities. Who knows what other mysteries and discoveries await us just beyond the horizon? If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.